The rain had just begun to fall when Laura Bennett stood outside the Greenwood Medical Center, her trembling hands clutching a faded folder filled with medical reports. The once hopeful sparkle in her eyes had dimmed, replaced by exhaustion and quiet despair. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life stories with unexpected twists that will warm your heart. Laura was 42, a mother of one, and a fighter. For 2 years, she had been battling stage 3 breast cancer. She had lost her hair, her strength, and most of her savings, but not her will to live. Yet that afternoon, as the receptionist at the clinic coldly informed her that her insurance had expired, it felt like her world was collapsing. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the woman behind the counter said without meeting her eyes. "Without coverage or full payment, we can't proceed with your treatment." Laura tried to explain that her husband had died in an accident last year, that her job couldn't cover the cost, that she just needed one more session of chemo to complete the cycle. But the clinic had rules, and rules didn't bend for compassion. She stepped out into the drizzle, tears mixing with raindrops, her body weak, her heart broken. Her teenage son, Ethan, waited for her in their old pickup truck, watching his mother crumble silently. "Mom, did they help you?" he asked, voice trembling. Laura forced a smile. "Not today, sweetheart, but we'll figure something out." They drove off, unaware that fate was about to send help in the most unexpected way. A few miles down the road, Ethan pulled over at a small roadside cafe. Laura needed to rest, and he needed a moment to think. As she sipped her tea quietly, a group of 6 leather-clad bikers pulled up outside, engines roaring, laughter echoing. They looked intimidating, tattoos, heavy boots, and rough voices. But as they entered the cafe, their warmth filled the room. They were part of a local biker group called the Iron Souls, known for organizing charity rides and supporting veterans in children's hospitals. One of them, a tall man with a graying beard named Rick Dalton, noticed Laura sitting quietly by the window. She looked pale, fragile, and lost. When she stood up to leave, her folder fell open, scattering medical papers across the floor. Rick knelt to help her gather them, and as he did, his eyes caught the words "oncology report" and "treatment denied." "You fighting cancer, ma'am?" he asked gently. Laura hesitated, embarrassed. "I was, but they won't treat me anymore. My insurance lapsed." Rick exchanged a look with his friends. "That ain't right," he muttered. "Nobody should fight alone." He asked her permission to read a bit of her case, then listened quietly as she explained her situation, the hospital's refusal, her son's struggle, her fading hope. When she finished, there was silence at the table. Then Rick stood, placed his hand on her shoulder, and said something she would never forget. "You took a hit, but you ain't out of the fight. We got your back now." The next morning, the rumble of 20 motorcycles filled the air outside Greenwood Medical Center. People came out of nearby shops to see what was happening. The bikers, wearing leather vests with the Iron Souls emblem, stood shoulder to shoulder, holding signs that read, "Compassion has no price. Treat her, we'll pay." Rick walked into the clinic with Laura beside him. The staff froze as the group entered, not angry, not violent, but determined. Rick spoke calmly but firmly to the manager. "This woman needs treatment. You refused her yesterday because of money. We're here today with cash and hearts big enough to fix that mistake." He placed a small duffel bag filled with donations collected overnight, money raised through calls to local clubs, friends, and even strangers who heard Laura's story on social media. The manager, overwhelmed and speechless, finally nodded. The paperwork was signed. Laura's treatment was resumed the same day. Tears rolled down her face as she hugged Rick and the others. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. Rick smiled. "You already did, by fighting. Just promise me you'll keep riding through this storm." Months passed. Laura's strength returned little by little. Her hair began to grow back, her laughter returned, and so did her hope. She started volunteering with cancer support groups, sharing her story of survival and kindness. Ethan, inspired by what he had witnessed, began organizing community fundraisers for patients in need. And every month, the Iron Souls bikers visited Laura, sometimes with flowers, sometimes just to share a meal. On the anniversary of the day they met, Laura joined them for a charity ride, wearing a leather jacket they'd made just for her. It read, "Honorary Iron Soul, survivor by strength, sister by heart." As they rode through the open highway, the sun setting behind them, Laura looked at the horizon with tears in her eyes and a smile on her face. She realized that sometimes angels don't have wings.